The New York Police Department announced Wednesday it quietly created a unit over the summer that specializes in investigating extremist hate groups. The racially and ethnically motivated extremism New York unit is part of the department's intelligence bureau. It primarily investigates terror threats from far-right and neo-Nazi groups. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said at a press conference that the goal is to identify signs of extremism so it can be The New York Police Department announced Wednesday it quietly created a unit over the summer that specializes in investigating extremist hate groups. The racially and ethnically motivated extremism unit is part of the department's intelligence bureau. It primarily investigates terror threats from far-right and neo-Nazi groups. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said at a press conference that the goal is to identify signs of extremism so it can be acted on before any terror or any bias crime occurs. The announcement comes a day after two gunmen opened fire in nearby New Jersey. The attack started when Detective Joseph Seals approached a U-Haul truck possibly linked to a murder that had happened over the weekend. One of the two suspects inside the truck shot and killed Seals before they drove to a kosher grocery store. That's where police responded, resulting in a shootout that lasted for hours. It finally ended after authorities announced the two suspects had been killed. 3 civilians inside the store also died, 2 customers and a cashier. The suspects had published anti-Semitic posts online and have been linked to the Black Hebrew Israelites, which has been labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
We're not at liberty to disclose the names of any of the victims or the actors at this point. That's New Jersey law on how the investigation will.
All right, I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. This one is basically various topics, 12/12/2019, the year of Karagma. And pretty much, those 2 videos you just saw, pretty much, just sum everything up. NYPD announces extremism investigation unit, and this is something I believe was started about 6 months ago, which is this year, which is pretty much based off of the Hebrew Israelites. That's the main thing. They saying all that other stuff. They did this in the past, dealing with the Black Panthers and the Blackstone Rangers and the Young Lords and all that stuff, because this is what Esau does. And pretty much, this is their MO, and this is what they do. They paint this picture to the world, of someone that they don't like, that they consider to be a threat, but not in a bad way. A threat, in other words, a threat like they don't like what's being said because they can prove their point. Dealing with the Hebrew Israelites, and seeing that they can't. They send countless of infiltrators. They send countless of, and this might be vocab Malone right here. Let me stop joking. They send countless of their flunkies, to try to debunk the truth, but they can't. So being that Esau is a sore loser, his next step is what? To demonize, the very thing that's bringing out truth to the world, which is the teachings of the Hebrew Israelites. And this is why we tell brothers, and we tell some of these other bonehead camps out there, don't be taking pictures with guns, don't be going to the gun range and putting it up, online, because they're using all of that. But it don't seem to sink into their head. So it's either 2 things. Either it's not sinking into their head, they don't get it, or they are part of the problem. They are down with this. Because why would you want to bring a stain to the name of the Hebrew Israelites that it doesn't need? We stand for truth. We don't stand for anything else. Scripture say that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So why would you want to equate that with a spiritual group? You see? So now I have a couple of videos that I've ran across and brothers have sent me, and different articles that brothers sent, that I'm just going to kind of touch on and go as long as the Spirit allows. The Black Hebrew Israelites, there you go with the black. We're not black. We're just Hebrew Israelites. But no matter how many times we say that, they keep putting it up there. Black Hebrew Israelites, what we know about the fringe group. A suspect in a deadly attack on a kosher market in Jersey City was connected to the black Hebrew Israelites. How? You know, which has been labeled a hate group. By who? We're not a hate group. We're a spiritual group that teaches what the Bible teaches. And the Bible teaches about hate. Matter of fact, let's get one quick precept. Oh, I don't want to lose this. I need this for later. Let's get one quick precept. Let's go to the book of Romans. Let's go to the New Testament. Romans 9:13. Bottom line. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Who's this speaking? This is the Most High speaking. So there is hate in the group. I mean, there is not, Salaka, that was a slip of the tongue. There is hate in the Bible. We are not a hate group, but there is hate in the Bible. And it's just the truth. And it might become your enemy because I tell you the truth. Let's go real quick to Psalms 139 and 21, I believe it is. It says, do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? This is King David speaking. That's a Psalm of David. He's saying, do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? And am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? It says, I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemy. So the Lord called King David his beloved. So King David hates those that the Most High hates, or those that hate the Most High, and he hates them with perfect hatred. But at the end of the day, we're not a hate group. There's hate. Hate is in the Bible. But this world will have you believe that everything is love, love, love. But when you look on the planet, there's nothing but hate, hate, hate going on. Violence and all kind of shit that they're promoting. But then they want to speak about love. There is no love in this world. The only love is this truth. You know, this truth is the only love that's out there that's real. Because love can be harsh. You know? This is Ecclesiastes 3:8. A time to love. Matter of fact, let me read the first verse. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. See, so we're in a time of hate. We're in a time of war. You know, because the Lord is bringing these things. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is bringing these things upon the planet. But they want to just stick a broad term on us. This is a hate group. We're not a hate group. But that's what Esau paints. And seeing that they control the media, they're the ones that's pushing, you know, what they want the people to believe. And these people are so stupid, the majority of them, that they just believe anything they see on TV. It says, the black Hebrew Israelites, you notice they just got to stick that in there, are known for their inflammatory sidewalk ministries. And that's, yeah, there are inflammatory sidewalk ministries. You know why? Because it doesn't go along with the norm in this society. Because we're telling the truth as it is, and we're telling you that the Most High is going to take vengeance for his people on you that committed violence against us. You lied, you deceived the world, made them believe that the Heavenly Father was a so-called white man, that his son was a so-called white man, that the angels were white, that the Israelites were white, so-called. But now when we stand up to push out the truth and explain what the scriptures are really saying, you got a problem with that. So instead of scrutinizing what's being said, they just stick a label, hate group. And storm in the corner over there, they're just a hate group. Because Esau controls the narrative. He controls what's being said and what people believe, what people can't believe. You know? But then when you look at his track record as far as things that are righteous are concerned, it's the total opposite. Who employ provocations as a form of gospel. We don't employ no provocations. We just basically tell you what the word says. It says, preaching a theology that says the chosen ones are black, Native American, and Hispanic. So-called black, so-called Native American, and so-called Hispanic people of Negro and Indian descent, and wherever the Israelites are scattered throughout the world, no matter what they look like. So they finally got something right. Now it has emerged that one of the two suspects in Tuesday's attack, meaning that when I say they got something right, meaning that the chosen are so-called black, so-called Native American, and so-called Hispanic people. That's what I'm talking about. Now it has emerged that one of the two suspects in Tuesday's attack on a kosher market in Jersey City, how convenient, was this? Almost makes you think that this was a false flag. And then you heard this individual here, what he said.
We're not at liberty to disclose the names of any of the victims or the actors at the...
Any of the victims or the actors. Because you have a lot of acting going on, a lot of false flags. And who gets the benefit? Amalek. We're going to get into that, Lord's will. All right, let's read some more. It says that ended with the death of 6 people, including a police officer, appears to have been connected to the group, a law enforcement official said. That suspect David N. Anderson, 47, was killed inside the JC Kosher supermarket, along with the second suspect, Francine Graham, 50. Officials said Mr. Anderson, Mr. Anderson. The law enforcement official said had posted anti-Semitic and anti-police screeds on internet forums in the past. Man, everybody is against the police. The majority of the population of the world is against police. They say all kind of stuff about the police because the majority of them are wicked. But now that the black Hebrew Israelites, then they got to stick all this other stuff on there. Look, Esau's not building a case. He already built the case. All he's doing now is putting the final touches on it. A manifesto-style document was found in the van that the assailant abandoned in the parking lot of the supermarket. A manifesto-style document. How convenient. A manifesto-style document was found in the van that the assailant abandoned in the parking lot of the supermarket. Here it is. They're moving from one point to another. They're carefully crafting all these things. They making sure that they're getting unmarked whatever, They're so-called, being very careful and cautious. But somehow he just leaves a manifesto-style document in of everything that he was going to do. It's almost as believable as that passport of that so-called Arab falling out of the plane, which there was no plane, falling out of the plane and not even singed with a little bit of smoke. Esau's a devil, man. Bottom line. And they don't play fair. And seeing that they can't get this thing to stop, they're going to get physical. And the bottom line, I understand brothers are putting out, we're not affiliated, disclaimers that we're not affiliated with, so on and so forth, but you know what? That doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's a waste of time. You know why? Because they're going to do what they're going to do regardless. They're not going to stop. You know what? Since Great Milson put up a disclaimer, we're going to leave them alone. It doesn't matter. These devils do not play fair. We could do everything by the book, and they're still coming. Because this is written in the book, in the Bible. A manifesto-style document was found. But I understand brothers' intentions are sincere, because at the end of the day, we're not a part of that shit. But pretty much, honestly, not getting on the brothers that did do it, but honestly, it's a waste of time because Esau is not going to listen anyway. A manifesto-style document was found in the van that the assailant abandoned in the parking lot of the supermarket, but the official said it was rambling and gave no clear motivation for the attack. You see? So who in the fuck, right, sits down and writes what they're going to do and brings it with them? Maybe he had a bad memory. And leaves it, the very thing that he needed to carry out what he had to carry, leaves it in a van that he stole, so-called, allegedly, and then just for the police to find it. Man, this got stink written all over it. This got bullshit written all over it. The belief system of black Hebrew, now notice, after the manifesto-style document, the belief system of black Hebrew Israelites, a sect that is not associated with mainstream Judaism, varies among the dozens of groups into which the century-old theology has splintered over the years. Broadly speaking, followers reject the notion of race and instead believe that the 12 tribes of Israel defined in the Old Testament are different ethnic groups or nations, and that whites are not among them. That's right. You so-called white people are not among it. And we don't reject the notion of race. But when you go back to the scriptures, it refers to them as nations. When you go back into the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, it breaks everything down by nations. It doesn't break it down by race. That's a modern term. Deuteronomy 32:8. It says, when the Most High divided to the nations, this is where you get the word Gawayim from. Singular Gawaya, nation, plural Gawayim, nations. So when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he what? When he separated the sons of Adam. How did he separate the sons of Adam? He set them up into what? Into nations. And this is why when we read Genesis, the 10th chapter, it gives us Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And from those 3 sons of his, the whole earth was repopulated. That's where the nations came out of, those 3 sons. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Why? For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So this is where the promise ended. This is where what the Lord was speaking about when he gave the promise to Abraham. You know? And this is where it ended up, because all nations did not receive the land of Canaan. Anyway, that's another lesson. So let's go back. It says they mostly trade in anti-Semitism. They view Jews as imposters. They're not Jews. That's what we say, so-called Jews. They're Amalekites, Edomites, said Heidi Bayrik, the director of the intelligence project at the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks extremist groups and has labeled. See, we were labeled. What does that remind you of? Let's go to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. So who's that? That's Esau. And when Yahushua comes back to destroy them and bring them down from their power seat, they're going to go down. But the point is that they were the accuser of our brethren. When we go to that word accuser, right, it has what? Katagodeo. To accuse before a judge, to make an accusation of an extrajudicial accusation, or to put into what? Categories. Kategoros. An accuser, a name given to the devil by the rabbis, yeah, but that's not what it is. Kategoro, which is where you get the word category. So what did it say? That this particular hoe, the director of intelligence project of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which tracks extremist groups and has labeled, has categorized, has accused black Hebrew Israelites as a hate group, because it says their ideology is informed by bigotry, and bigotry is all throughout the scriptures. Let's go to the book of Amos. Amos chapter 3. And then there was another one. Let me get this one real quick. Is that first? 2 Samuel 7. Or is that 1 Samuel 7? All right, that's it. Let's go back. Amos 3:1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of who? Israel. Against the whole family which I brought out from the land of Egypt, saying, so this is what the Most High said, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquity. So the Most High only knows the nation of Israel. That's why he only gave the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, the law, statutes, and commandments, which separated us from these nations, which made us holy. Why didn't he give all the other nations these laws, statutes, and commandments if the Lord was for everybody? Because the Most High is a separatist. But in this society, a separatist is viewed as a bigot, is viewed as a racist, it's viewed in a bad light. But that's how the Most High wanted it from the beginning. He wanted everybody separated. Why? Because he had a particular people that he was going to join unto himself by giving them laws, statutes, and commandments that would make them holy and that would separate them from these nations, which is the nation of Israel. So now let's go to 2 Samuel 7 and 23. And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom the Most High went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people. Matter of fact, I got one more that came to mind, Salakia. Let me get this real quick. Let's go back. Read that again. And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom the Most High went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemest to them from Egypt, which the Lord brought back from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. Why? Because the Most High separated us from these nations. And this was the very time when we came out of Egypt. That was the very time when the Lord was going to bring us into the wilderness to prove us and to give us laws, statutes, and commandments for us to be guided by. Because the land where he was going to take us and give us, which was the land of Canaan, was filled with a bunch of devils, a bunch of Canaanites, Hamites, that were doing all type of foul, filthy, wicked acts. So the Lord had to give us a guideline to separate us from these people. For thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people Israel to be a people unto thee forever, and thou, Lord, art become their power. Bottom line. So now let's go to Isaiah 40 and 15. It says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket. So all nations on the planet to the Lord are like a drop of a bucket. They're insignificant. But we know that this is not speaking about the nation of Israel, because we just read that the nation of Israel is the Most High's inheritance. It says, and are counted as a small dust of the balance, insignificant. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing, and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. Because you can't take all the trees of the world, or the best trees of Lebanon, and all the beasts, and burn all that to the Lord for a sweet savor unto the Lord, but the Lord will not accept you. Because he already chose the nation that he was going to dwell in, which is the nation of Israel. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing in vanity. So what in the hell is this? Is this skeezer talking about? They call them sometimes devilish impostors or devils. Well, that's what the scriptures call them. In the book of Revelation, which this applies to Esau today. Back then it applied to Jake, but today it applies to Esau. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Just talking about the real Israelites. And I know the blasphemy, the filthy, wicked things or acts of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So this is what the Most High said. So everything that these devils are saying, the scriptures are cut, because they think of themselves as the true Israelites. No, we don't think of us. We know. And this is why they want to, the curses, that doesn't apply to you guys, because no man shall buy you. You know why? Because they know that that's a key foothold, one of the key strongholds in proving that we are the Israelites. And Esau, the way he does things, he'll cast doubt on people's minds. He'll cast doubt on your belief so that you won't go any further into it. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, they cannot deceive the very elect. It says, Miss Byrick added, the group is not known for committing mass acts of violence, and no acts of violence. There may be a little scuffle here and there in the past, little shoving, little shove match, a little yelling back and forth, but that was about it. And they know this. And that's why every chance they get, they'll plaster the term Hebrew Israelite or black Hebrew Israelite on some violent act of somebody that one was not a part of this, or 2 may have watched a couple of videos but never got down with the thing, or 3 is just a goddamn lie all the way around, which I tend to go with 3. It doesn't have a record of violence that white supremacists have in the United States. Boom. Thank you. So why are they calling us a hate group when we don't have that track record like the so-called white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, the skinheads and all of that? They have records of violence against Jake. The lynchings and the castrations and the killings and all of that. But yet they'll label us right there, right alongside them. Because it's a ploy to round up anyone that they consider to be the undesirables. All right. See what else they got here. Then we're going to go to some precepts. In a news conference a day after the attacks, Stephen Fulop, the mayor of Jersey City, said that Mr. Anderson had expressed hate in message on Facebook. The mayor did not elaborate. But see, and this is why Elder Pastor years ago, which guy had a problem with that, said, look, no Facebook. Close that Facebook bullshit down. Don't be on Facebook. Why? Because Facebook, which was set up by InQtel, which InQtel was a sub corporation that was set up by the CIA to gather all this intelligence on this thing. And that's why they push that, hey, whatever you're doing in the day, just put it down, write it down, your name, your address, where you live and where you going, what your likes are, your dislikes, who your parents are, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. It was about gaining intelligence so that they can spy on the people. There are several Hebrew Israelite offshoots in the New York region. Mathath Lawyer, a founder of the Apostles of New York, Jerusalem, a prominent New Jersey congregation, disavowed the pair's actions. We are following Christ, which is his name is Yahushua. We are not out there carrying guns or any type of weapons, and that's the truth. Mr. Lawyer said, the only weapons we are carrying are Bibles and apocryphers. Miss Graham's beliefs are as yet unclear. Her brother Frederick Graham said he was not aware of links to the movement on her part. I don't know what's happening, Mr. Graham, 52 said. I didn't know she was part of any of that. I'm trying to get more information. A neighbor of Miss Graham's in a tidy housing development in Elizabeth, New Jersey, said she was nice and polite when she moved there in 2011. But she changed dramatically after meeting Mr. Anderson in 2017, like he was just the devil. And the neighbor said, like Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, who writes this shit, man? You know what I got to do, man? Lord's will, I got to watch that movie Wag the Dog again. Because that brings out the same narrative of that Esau paints this shit in the media, which is garbage, which is bullshit. It says the neighbor said he could hear Mr. Anderson shouting at night that his religion was the only true religion. Who does that? Who the fuck does that? Who writes this shit? Who the fuck does that? Sitting in the room, start just yelling at the top of your lungs that your religion is the only true religion, just in your house. You're walking around in your house like a madman. But see, this is how they're trying to paint the Israelites as a bunch of madmen. Why? Because we didn't go to college. We didn't go, majority of us didn't go to college. We didn't learn from Esau, the curriculum of Christianity, plantation Christianity, So we're just insane. While others, specifically Catholicism and Judaism, were false. Soon, he said, Mr. Graham joined in the chants. Miss Graham, as Ash Yasha'Allah, who lives in New York City and is part of a Hebrew Israelite congregation, knows as I Am Israel, no division, called Mr. Anderson and Miss Graham actions wicked, adding that the movement, aggressive street preaching, should not be conflated with a call to violence. And that's the truth. Which we don't believe that this whole shit went down. And if it did go down that way, your man right here, he just said it, that they were actors.
Any of the victims or the actors at this point.
See, the victims or the actors at this point. So this just sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. Now let's go get some precepts. Psalms 37:14. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow, to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. And Esau knows that he doesn't have anything. He's tried to infiltrate. He's tried to do something. He's tried to make movies like Asher and then have it go underground and come resurface at St. Paul to try to get the media or the people that's watching the media to look at us as a terrorist group. We're not a terrorist group. We're a spiritual group that teaches the Bible. And we teach what the Bible says. That the Lord, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, his name is Yahushua in the Hebrew, is coming back to destroy this place because this place is wicked. Because he's coming to establish his kingdom. And the earth that's going to be ruled in righteousness. It says, their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. Because whatever they're doing is going to be broken down. It's going to be destroyed by the Lord. Let's go real quick to Job chapter 5. This is how Esau gets down. But here it is, you got a big majority of these so-called black and Latino Christians, plantation Christians that are licking their ass. Got their back. And this is why Esau is able to float. Because it's always Jake that backs them up. How do you think the Native American Indians, the tribe of Gad and the other tribes got taken down? By Sambos among the ranks that helped Esau take them down. Think about it. Job chapter 5 verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So the Lord is going to disappoint them. He's going to raise up on these devils. He's going to disappoint them. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. Why? Because the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. And he's about to take them down and their ventures. Psalms 9:17, the wicked shall be turned into hell, meaning they're going to be destroyed, and all the nations that forget the Most High. Now let's go to the 7th chapter. 11. The Most High judges the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day, because the Most High want to take Esau out so bad, but he got to wait because he's bound by his word. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He had bent his bow and made it ready. So the Lord is ready. He's been ready. Yahushua has been ready. He just got to get the word. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordained his arrows against the persecuted. So everything is already set in place. Just things got to play out. The movie has to play out. It says, behold, he travaileth with iniquity and hath conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood, because all that Esau could do is be wicked. Be the wicked that he is. Can a leopard change his spots? Or the Ethiopian his skin? Or so may you do good that are accustomed to doing evil? You were created to be the wicked. Psalm 16:4. Romans 9:22. So you can't do the right thing when you were created to do the wrong thing. He made a pit and digged it. So there's a pit that he made. And the deeper he digs in that pit, the further he's going to fall. And it's falling into the ditch which he made, because this whole thing that he's doing is going to be his own undoing. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealings shall come upon his own pate. So the Lord is going to recompense him. You know, you reap what you sow. I will praise the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Most High. So now let's go back here. Let's read this again. Psalms 37:14. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. So their whole duty is to slay the ones of upright conversation, because they know this is coming, and there's not a damn thing they could do to stop it. Because the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is bringing it. But they're trying to make it seem like man is doing it. This is of the Lord. All right, let's go to Psalm 62. Let's start at 1. To the chief musician, to Jeduthun, a psalm of David. Truly my soul waiteth upon the Most High. From him cometh my salvation. Because at the end of the day, our salvation is in the hands of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. No one else. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. And this is going to tie right into the next article. How long will you imagine mischief against a man? Esau, you shall be slain, all of you. As a bombing wall you shall ye be, and as a tottering fence, just like dominoes. Falling like dominoes. They're going to be falling like dominoes. Because one thing is going to lead to another, it's going to lead to another, it's going to cause the whole house of cards to drop. Because Esau has a house built with cards. You know, a castle made of sand. And you know what happens? A castle's made of sand and houses made of cards. Eventually they collapse. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. Let's look up this word consult. The word there is ya'itazah. To advise, consult, give counsel, purpose, device, plan. This is why the Lord said, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Because they're looking to extend their kingdom. They're looking to rule and reign and govern everyone under their new world agenda, new world order. But it's not going to work, because that's going to be your own undoing. To advise, counsel, give counsel, consult, counselor, to consult together, exchange counsel, deliberate, so on and so forth. Conspire, which means breathe together. So what do they conspire for? What do they consult together for? They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. Because they know that we're the excellent people. They know that we're the royal people. They know that we are royalty. They know that we're the Israelites. That's why they feel so threatened. You don't see him coming against Islam like that, or should I say the FOI, you know, the Moors, you know, the 5%ers, and all the Egyptologists. You don't see them coming at them like that, because they know that that's all bullshit. And as long as you have these individuals pushing that nonsense, they're doing the job of Esau for them, because they're further dividing Jake. But these are all the Lord's plans too, because the Lord said that his elect will not be deceived. His sheep hear his voice and follow him. It says they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. And that's what they delight in, lies. They bless with their mouth because they're acting like they're benevolent. But they curse inwardly, Salah, because they know that deep down inside what their true plans are. And it's nothing of what they're saying. They know what the deal is, but they're not going to say. And they're going to cause a lot of people to get put to death. Now, this ties in because we read up top that the Most High is he only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. Now, during the 60s and the 70s, you had something called what? The Civil Rights Movement, which Elder Manatazak and myself, I believe we did a couple of videos on that. And I remember reading or seeing a video somewhere. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember that they were saying that these Amalekites were using that civil rights movement and the plight of Jake back then, or the so-called Negroes back then, the tribe of Judah, so that they can inject themselves into the benefits of that civil rights movement. It was said back then, we spoke about it, and now, lo and behold, CNN, Trump aims to crack down on anti-Semitism on college campuses using civil rights protections. And this is why they like things in the books. Because it's not about helping anybody else. It's about helping themselves. But they'll exploit somebody, a race of people, mainly the real Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and use our mishaps and our misfortunes to better help them. And that's why it says here Trump aims a crackdown on anti-Semitism on college campuses using civil rights protections. Because when you go back to the civil rights movement, it was started by Amalek. But they put W.E.B. Du Bois out there, or Du Bois, however you pronounce it. It's a French name. It's Du Bois, I remember. Du Bois. And other so-called black faces to be the leaders of that movement. But when you go behind the scenes, the people that were really running it were Amalekites. And that's why they pushed it, because they used Jake's misfortunes to help themselves. That's why Maya Angelou said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. Because he that controls the money controls the laws. Pretty much. And that's what they do. They control the media. They control everything. They control the Federal Reserve, so on and so forth. This is dated yesterday, December 11, 2019, year of Karagma. CNN President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Wednesday to include discrimination against Jews as a violation of law in certain cases with an eye toward fighting anti-Semitism on college campuses. So there you go. Voltaire said, you want to know who's in charge? Find out who you can't speak against. And it's a known fact. You go to I think Switzerland, France, and different other places. If you deny the Holocaust, guess what? You can get locked up, possibly for life. They call it a Holocaust denier. So find out, if you want to know who's in charge, find out who you can't speak against. It's an order that would allow Trump to take further steps to combat anti-Israel sentiments and divestments movements on college campuses by requiring colleges and universities to treat those movements as discriminatory or risk losing their funding. So why couldn't they start their own thing? Because there's something already in the books that helped their cause, which was what they wanted to do from the beginning. Says the order would apply in cases where anti-Semitism is involved and applies only to discrimination concerns. A senior administration official told CNN on Wednesday that the order does not define Judaism at all. The order represents a legal judgment that discrimination against Jewish people is something covered by Title VI. And they conveniently put everything in there. A White House official confirmed to CNN on Tuesday that the order would interpret Judaism as a nationality and not just a religion. The executive order released on Wednesday was not that specific. The order released Wednesday evening interprets that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. As protecting from anti-Semitism, the Department of Education can withhold federal funding from any college or educational program that violates Title VI, according to the Civil Rights Act. While Title VI does not cover discrimination based on religion, individuals who face discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin do not lose protection under Title VI for also being a member of a group that shares common religious practices. The order states discrimination against Jews may give rise to the Title VI violation when the discrimination is based on an individual's race, color, or national origin. So it goes on and on, I put all of this stuff that we're reading and listening to, I put it all in the description box. So let's get a couple of precepts and close out the lesson. Isaiah 10 and 20. And it shall come to pass in that day. What day? We are in that part of that day right now. Because the minds of the elect have been changed from what Esau had pushed out there, according to the Apocrypha and other scriptures, that the remnant, meaning the remainder or the elect of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, meaning the elect, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them. Because here it is, Esau smote Jake, all the tribes, but what do? They run to the civil rights movement. They run to Esau for protection. But the scriptures are saying the day is coming where they shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. because this truth is what's going to protect us. Let's jump down to the 27th verse. And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder, and his yoke from off thy neck. And the yoke shall be destroyed because of what? The anointing. Going back to the truth, the oil. So Jake is not going to be staying upon Esau anymore. You're going to have, the elect are not going to stay upon him anyway. The 7,000 men that have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. But the rest of Jake is going to stay upon these devils till they get destroyed. Psalms 10:1. Why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked, which is Esau, in his pride doth persecute the poor. And you see the persecution of the poor taking place. I'm going to play this real quick. I'm be right back. Just give me a second.
The New York Police Department announced Wednesday it quietly created a unit over the summer that specializes in investigating extremist hate groups. The Racially and Ethnically Motivated Extremism Unit is part of the department's Intelligence Bureau. It primarily investigates terror threats from far-right and neo-Nazi groups. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said at a press conference that the goal is to identify signs of extremism so it can be acted on before any terror or any bias crime occurs. The announcement comes a day after 2 gunmen opened fire in nearby New Jersey. The attack started when Detective Joseph Seals approached a U-Haul truck possibly linked to a murder that had happened over the weekend. One of the 2 suspects inside the truck shot and killed Seals before they drove to a kosher grocery store. That's where police responded, resulting in a shootout that lasted for hours. It finally ended after authorities announced the 2 suspects had been killed. 3 civilians inside the store also died, 2 customers and a cashier. The suspects had published anti-Semitic posts online and have been linked to the Black Hebrew Israelites, which has been labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
There it goes. There it is. There it is. All right, so going back to Psalms 10:2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined, because they have a deadly agenda ahead. So the Lord is going to have to be the one to stop them. Who will lead me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Shall not you, Lord, which then go out with our army? So the Lord is the one that's going to deliver us from this, not us. Don't matter how good your skills are at the gun range or whatever the case is. Esau was given the blessing of the sword, not you. For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and that's what they do. And blessed the covetousness whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. And he thinks that the Most High is on his side because he's doing all his wickedness and not suffering for it. But it's because the Most High is waiting for the right moment to lower the boom on his ass. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. Because they don't even see that the Lord is bringing them down. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He's constantly talking shit to everybody. And that's why even his own allies are going to turn against him. Because he said that his look was more stout than all of his fellows. And everything in the scriptures point to America. If you have spiritual eyes to see. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And this is what they think, because they have more than hearts can wish. Their heart could wish. They don't never think they're going down. That's why they, back in the 80s, John Todd said that they want to bankrupt their own companies, but be so financially sustainable that they won't even affect them. Because they want to bring everything into a new world order. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. And that's all. Whenever the so-called white man, when do you know that Esau's lying? Every time he opens his mouth. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And that's all it is. It's mischief and vanity painted as a noble cause. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret place doth he murder the innocent. And that's what these devils do. Like a brother sent me a video of a Judite woman that they forcibly held down, the cops held down, and they injected her. So I thought she was gonna fight, but she didn't fight. She was pregnant. She was about to have the baby, so they injected her with something, but the police held her down, and she kept refusing it. So I don't want. I'm gonna sue the hell out of y'all. I don't want this. But that's what these devils do. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Because it's about that. See, what Amalek does is they exploit Jake. This whole civil rights movement was nothing but bullshit. It was a way to get laws in the books to be able to help these devils. Not for Jake's purpose. They just exploited Jake's situation to push the agenda for themselves. Because it's all about them. They get billions of dollars a year in so-called reparations. Every year, just constantly on the regular, money coming in from all over the place. But the so-called Negroes, the so-called Latinos and Native American Indians that suffered the worst, they ain't getting shit, but shitted on. There's a reason for it. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. And this is a net, it's a trap. He croucheth and humbleth himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And what are his strong ones? His military, his police, and all them different martial law troops and FEMA troops and however they may come. Because it's all about deception with this devil. He makes you think he's an angel of light. It says, he hath said in his heart, the Most High hath forgotten. He hideth his face, he will never see it, because the Lord hasn't protected us, really. I mean, he's protecting us, but he really hasn't opened up, should I say. Salaki, I misspoke on that. He hasn't really opened up on this devil. Salaki for saying that. He hasn't opened up on these devils. That's what I should have said. He hasn't really opened up on these devils. So that's why they continuously doing what they do. Arise, O Lord, O power, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. Because the meek shall inherit the earth. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn the Most High? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. So they really believe that they're not going to have to pay for what they've done. Let's get 2 precepts on that. Let's go back to Nahum 1 and 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power and will not at all acquit the wicked. So you will not be acquitted. You will pay. Jeremiah 49 and 12. For thus saith and the wicked are the Edomites, the E's. For thus saith the Lord, the so-called white man, so you could understand, and women and children. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. We had to drink of it. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. You're going to drink it. You're going to sip it down. There ain't going to be a damn thing you could do about it. So going back to Psalms 10, they don't think that the Lord is going to require it, but he is. Psalms 10 and 14, thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee, thou art the helper of the fatherless. So the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai, they're going to help us. But they're going to kick Esau in the ass. 2/3 of you Israelites out there, you're on Esau's side anyway. So you're not going to get that help. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. And remember, the Lord waited for the Canaanites, for their iniquities to come to a full. So when the Lord brings the wrath upon Esau, he ain't going to withhold, he ain't going to hold back. That's why it says in Obadiah, 5, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? But when the Lord comes back, he ain't leaving shit. Ain't gonna be nothing left. Isaiah 34th chapter, Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51. He ain't gonna leave you anything, Esau. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought out? So everything about you is gonna be destroyed. Your whole society is gonna collapse overnight. Next thing you know, you're gonna be in straight up hardcore captivity, wondering what the hell happened. Your head's gonna be spinning because you just knew that you had this whole thing sewed up, but you forgot one thing. You forgot about Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. It says the Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. And all those heathens that are over there in the land of Israel today, they will perish out of that land. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress, and Esau will no more oppress. And there was another precept, but I can't think of how it's worded. Let me see if I could find it this way. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Isaiah 26:18. We have been with child, and we have been in pain. Yeah, because we're ready to be delivered, man. Just like a woman when she's at the very last final stages of her pregnancy, she's ready to be delivered. We're ready to be delivered, man. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth. Neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Who's that? That's Esau. They haven't fallen yet. They have to fall in order for the next kingdom to be established. Yahweh Shai's kingdom, which we're joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. All right, so going back, the men of the earth may no more oppress, and that's when they're not going to be able to oppress, when the Lord takes them down. And when I said that, the smoke alarm went on outside in the hallway. Oh boy. Sirach 13, and I'll just read some of these verses here. The rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. You know, so that you can understand that this whole shit about the civil rights movement was really about the protection of Amalek. Had nothing to do with Jake. They just exploited Jake's situation back then to push that, so that everything that's in the books they can use. But they didn't push it on themselves because they wanted to use somebody else so that they can get it in the books. These devils are very clever. They're more subtle than any beast of the forest. It says, what agreement is there between the hyena and the dog, and what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild asses and the lions prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. And that's what they're doing. Because they're the rich, but they're acting like the poor. They got everything. It says, as the proud hate humility, so doth the rich abhor the poor. When a rich man is fallen, he hath many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely and could have no place. Why? Because a poor man's wisdom is despised. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. So pretty much this is all a ploy to exploit Jake, so that Esau can get up in there. I had another precept. I thought I had it written down, but Proverbs 22:16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increases his substance, he shall gather for him that will pity the poor, because Israel is going to get all of those riches. 15th verse. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. And that's what Esau has been that way. And Proverbs 30:14. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords. That's Esau. And 2/3 of Jake. And their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. And this is why they have something called the Georgia Guidestones, in which they want to reduce the population of the earth. And I don't need to tell you who the people they want to reduce is. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are top on that list. So it's coming. Salaka, let me check, see what the hell's going on. It ain't one thing, it's another. All right. Let me just finish off with this here. Let's go to Isaiah. I believe that's 51. Thought I had it, but I guess not. Isaiah 51 and 17. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of the Lord the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunk in the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. And boy, oh boy, did we not drink that. We damn sure drank the cup of trembling, the dregs of it, and wrung them out. We drank every last bit of it. Now it's Esau and the other nations' turns. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she hath brought forth. Why? Because they were all false leaders, until the Lord brought the truth. Neither is there any that taketh her by the hand of all the sons that she had brought up. These two things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fear of the Lord, the rebuke of thy power. Therefore hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith the Lord, thy Lord, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people, the Israelites. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee. So now it's going to be trading places. Let's go real quick before I read on. Let's go. Oh, I had it right here. I knew I had it somewhere. I had it right here. All right, it's all good. Let's go to Lamentations, the first chapter, real quick. Lamentation 1 and 21. They have heard that I sigh. There is none to comfort me. All mine enemies have heard of my trouble. They are glad that thou hast done it. Thou wilt bring the day that thou hast called, and they shall be like unto me. So it's going to be a trading places. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as a street to them that went over. So all of this civil rights movement crap and everything that went on in this country, Jake, beginning with Judah, they laid down everything. They caught hell. They were locked up, beaten. Amalek didn't go through that. And now who's benefiting from it? Them goddamn gutter rats. But the Lord, he got our back, man. He's going to deliver us. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Till the next time I say Shalom. The poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumbled, they will help to overthrow him. So pretty much this is all a ploy to exploit Jake so that Esau can get up in there. I had another precept. I thought I had it written down, but Proverbs 22:16. He that oppresseth the